So here's a question that I was just sent by one of my students who attends Brentwood School, and instead of just helping her out with it, I decided to make a video showing how to answer this question, put it up on YouTube, and maybe somebody else can be helped out there in the world somewhere as well. So here's the question. It says square root of 18 divided by 2i root 6. So a couple of issues that we have here are that we definitely want to simplify any radicals that we possibly can. And then also, you never want to leave an answer with I or a radical in the denominator, so that's going to be an issue that we need to take care of. So let's take the numerator first. So the first of all, we have a square root of 18. I'm going to write over here some notes, and I'm going to say, well, how can I simplify square root 18? I can use what I call a radical tree, so it's similar to a factor tree. In a factor tree, however, you just choose any numbers that you want that are factors of the original number. For a square root tree or a radical tree, it's a little bit different in that you must choose a perfect square, like square root 9, that goes into the original to start off your tree. The reason why we do that is because by using a perfect square, we're able to immediately get a whole number. So in this case, the square root of 9 is equal to 3. And then in this particular case, we have root 2 left over. So square root of 18 simplifies to 3 root 2. So let's write this down over here. Next line, so I have 3 root 2 all over 2i root 6. Okay, so like I said before, we don't want the I or the root 6 here. So we're going to multiply top and bottom by I root 6. Some of you might be used to seeing this in the past, like even if you didn't have an I, if it was just a root 6 there, and you wanted to get rid of it, you simply multiply top and bottom by radical 6. In this case, because there's an I, we just kind of tack it on to the root 6 as well, multiply top and bottom by it. So what happens on top? We want to multiply the things that are outside of the radical, so the 3 times the I, which gives us 3i. And then square root 2 times square root 6 is square root 12. And on bottom, same thing, 2i times I is going to be 2i squared. And then root 6 times root 6 is going to be 6. It's actually the square root of 36, but then square root of 36 is a perfect square that ends up equaling 6. I'll just skip that step and write that in. So let's do some simplifying now. So on top, we can do another step here, simplification. We have a square root 12. Let's go off to the side again. Square root 12, use our radical tree. A perfect square that goes into square root 12 is square root 4. So that'd be square root 4 times square root 3, and we get 2 root 3. So up top now I have 3i. I'm showing all the steps here, although you probably could skip some of these if you wanted. Just to be thorough, I want to show everything. Times 2 root 3, and on bottom we have 2 times 6, which is 12. I'm going to just write this as 12i squared for right now. Okay, so next step. Let's simplify this even further. I have 3i times 2 root 3, so that becomes 6i root 3. And then on bottom, I have 12i squared, and if you've learned about I, hopefully you've also learned about how, or probably better said, what I is equal to. So let's write this off to the side in case you don't know. I represents, or is equal to, the square root of -1. So therefore I squared would be equal to the square root of -1 times itself, which is -1. So for us here, 12i squared is the same as 12 times -1, and therefore our denominator becomes -12. Alright, so we're almost done. One last step of simplifying and we'll be finished. So I have 6 and I have -12. There's a common factor. The common factor here is 6. 6 goes into 6 one time, so I cross that out. 6 goes into -12 -2 times, so that 12 becomes a 2. And I end up with an answer of -I square root 3 all over 2. Sorry about that. That square root didn't go down far enough, but I think you can see it pretty clearly. So this is -I root 3 all over 2. Again, that negative sign coming from the fact that we had a -12 on bottom. So there's the answer. Hopefully that made a lot of sense. And any questions that you have that are similar